In today's video, I'm going to take you to visit the Three Gorges Dam scenic area. From the top of the mountain overlooking the dam, to the platform to observe the ship lock, to the path by the bank of the reservoir, to the platform by the dam, and finally to the park in commemoration of the enclosure of the Yangtze River. Along the tour, I'll tell you interesting things related to this dam, such as how it was built and how ships pass through it.
Hello, I'm Yan. I'm in Yichang, Hubei province. Behind me is the Three Gorges Dam. The power plant of the dam is the world's largest hydroelectric power plant. It can generate as much as 11 times the power that Hoover Dam generates. Today the weather is really foggy, but I try to film as good as I can. And as you can see, there is a ship behind me trying to pass the dam. I'll film that process for you.
The Three Gorges Dam is located 44 kilometers from the city of Yichang in Hubei province. This point is at the end of the section of the Yangtze River called the Three Gorges. The project consists of a concrete gravity dam with a spillway in the middle. The powerhouse and the non-flow section are stationed at both ends of the dam. The length of the dam is 2,309 meters. The main part of the project took 17 years to finish. The construction was divided into 3 phases. The first phase spanned 5 years from 1993 to 1997. On the southern bank, a cofferdam was built from the small island in the middle of the river to the southern bank. A concrete dam was built along the island to form a water diversion channel. On the northern bank, the digging of the canal for a permanent ship lock started. At the same time, the non-overflow section of the dam and the temporary ship lock was built on the northern side. During this phase, the river was narrowed by 30%. Ships and water went from the center of the river. The second phase ran from 1998 to 2003. The cofferdam on the southern bank was demolished to form a water diversion channel. Then 2 cofferdams were built in the center of the river, forming the basis of the spillway in the middle and the power station on the northern side. During this phase, ships went through the diversion channel and the temporary ship lock. The operation of the permanent ship lock marked the conclusion of this phase. The third phase was from 2004 to 2009. Cofferdams were built in the diversion channel. The Yangtze River was completely blocked. Non-overflow dam and the power station on the southern bank were built. From this phase on, water flew through the spillway in the center of the dam, and ships went from the permanent ship lock on the northern bank. Taking the transit bus from Visitor Center, I arrived at the parking lot here. Then I took escalators to the top of the mountain. The first stop is called Tanziling because it looks like a tanzi, a type of jar Chinese people use to make pickled vegetables. Usually it's a nice place to observe the dam, but not on the day I was there. I couldn't see anything. There is a fountain in the square with a huge stone in the center. It was the same kind of stones that were thrown into the water to stop the water and to build the cofferdam. Tanziling is also a good spot to observe the canal where the ship lock is located. The canal is completely man-made. It is 6,442 meters long in total. The widest place is 300 meters. The vertical distance from the highest spot to the bottom is 176 meters, which is equivalent to a building with 38 floors. During the first phase of the construction, constructors removed dozens of hills and dug 2 parallel tunnels to form the preliminary channel for the permanent ship lock. The ship lock went into operation at the end of the second phase. It was an extremely difficult process and was unprecedented. Taking the escalators down from Tanziling, I arrived at the second stop, a platform to observe the ship lock.
There are two series of ship locks installed near the dam. Each is made up of 5 stages. The maximum transit time is 4 hours.
4 hours sounds really long. I filmed the ship going into a gate. It went slower than a turtle. This animation shows how the ship lock works. Before the ship enters, the locks below opens to let water flow into the compartment. When the water is at the same level, the ship goes into it. That finished one stage, and there are 5 stages. There are 2 series of locks, one for upstream traffic and one for downstream traffic. It looks like the dam delays the ships, but actually the project has greatly increased the shipping capacity of the Yangtze River. In history, the Three Gorges were notoriously dangerous to navigate because this section of the river was narrow and shallow. With the construction of the dam, the river turned wider and deeper. Ships with much deeper draft are able to navigate 2,400 kilometers upstream from Shanghai all the way to Chongqing. As a result, ship load increased, cost was reduced, and trade flourished. From the platform, I continued to the third stop of the tour, a path by the so-called lake. This is the terminal of the ship lock. Before the construction of the dam, if I stood here, I would be overlooking the Yangtze River down in the valley. But now the river looks like a lake. There is a path along the edge where you can enjoy the view of the lake, and the dam is getting closer. The path led to an observation platform near the dam. The dam stands 185 meters tall, and the platform is at the same level as the dam, so it's named as the 185 observation platform. As I arrived at the platform, a ship was approaching the dam. Why didn't the ship go through the ship lock? Well, there's a lift at the dam for ships with smaller size. It was installed in 2015. The transit time is half an hour to 40 minutes, much shorter than stepping through ship locks. The ship stopped right in front of the lift. As we have to wait for elevators in our office building, ships also have to wait for the only lift at the dam. While the ship was waiting, let's take a look at the reservoir. I know it was very foggy, but can you see the complex of architectures on the land across the water? That is the Yuan temple I took you to visit in last week's video. And we saw the dam from that direction. The spillway, the powerhouse, the lift, and the ship lock. What do you think these were? They were garbage from upper reaches. In the summer this year, southern China experienced heavy floods. Many cities and villages were inundated. Houses, furniture, and other goods were washed away by the flood into the Yangtze River. When they arrived here with the water flow, they were stopped by the dam. The small boats were tasked with shipping the garbage to the disposal site. Look at the watermark on the dam. That was also from the flood in the summer. The maximum reservoir water level designed is 175 meters, 10 meters below the top of the dam. The Three Gorges Project plays a key role in flood control in the middle reaches of the Yangtze River, especially in the Jinjiang River section and up to Wuhan. In the summer this year, during the flood in southern China, the project successfully reduced several flood peaks. This was the scene of August 20, 2020. 11 sluice gates were opened to discharge water. In order to control flood, China Three Gorges Corporation, the entity that manages the project, discharged the water before the floods came to empty the reservoir. When the flood came, they limited water discharge until the 175-meter maximum level was reached. This way, flood water was retained in the reservoir and flood peak was reduced. Look at the grass. They were in different colors. The grass below turned yellow because they were submerged in the water this summer. It took an hour for the ship to wait before it finally went inside the lift, and I seriously stood in the platform for an hour. The lift is kind of like an elevator for ships. It can lift ships of up to 3,000 tons. The vertical distance traveled is 130 meters. Before the pandemic, the lift was open to tourists. Unfortunately, it was not open this year. The dam, however, is not open to public anytime. The entrance is guarded by soldiers, so are the entire Scenic area. With that, my trip on the northern side of the river ended. Transit bus would take me to the southern bank of the river where there is a parking commemorate to the closure of the Yangtze River. I advise you to sit on the right side of the bus. The bus first went down the hill along the water channel. Then it crossed the ship lock. Notice the bridge not far away. The bus will travel through that bridge to the southern bank. It's nice to observe the entire project from the bridge when the weather is not foggy. Then I arrived at the last stop. There is an underground tunnel which I don't know where it leads to. And it's locked. The bulldozers and other vehicles that were used in building the cofferdams were in display.
This is the bulldozer that was used to throw the stones into the river. And compared with my height, you can see how huge this is.
This park is a nice angle to see the eastern side of the dam. It would be awesome to watch the discharge of water at this place in flood season. And for that, usually you should come in the summer. That's the tour for today. Take a final look and say bye-bye to the dam. In next week's video, I'll travel to the entrance of the Three Gorges. It's also on the back of the Chinese 10-yuan bill. So many stories happen in this place spanning thousands of years. I'm Yan Yan. I upload a video every Saturday about sites of interest in China and histories and stories behind them. Subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next week at the White Emperor Town.